It's Joshua Kittle, and in this episode of Mortgage Clarity, we're going to dive in and help you understand why does owning beat renting. We hear this a lot in the news and stuff about home ownership, but I have found over my years that most people don't really quite understand and get it. And there's a lot of misconceptions where, hey, if I can actually rent for less than it costs to have a mortgage, I should rent and save that money and invest it. So in this video, I'm going to help make sense of this. If you like the video, please definitely hit the like button, share it. It helps other people get this important information as well. So let's jump into this scenario here. Now, I do want to make sure I point out for our legal department here that this is just a scenario here. No guarantees on rates and returns. Past performance in markets don't predict future performance in that market. But what I've done here is I've taken a home in Benton County, Oregon at $350,000. And in this here, we're using historical appreciations and forecasted rent increases that we get from different types of government entities. So these aren't just numbers that we're making up. But again, there is no guaranteed. In this scenario here, we're looking at like a 5% down on a purchase. The rate at that time was 3.75 with an APR. You see that APR is higher there because of that mortgage insurance. If you got questions on what APR means, refer to one of my other videos. I'll go into that detail there. But let's go ahead and jump into these numbers here and help make sense. So in this county for $350 purchase price, the actual rents are probably closer to about $2,000 a month. But I wanted to decrease it by a few $100s for a couple of reasons. One is I really wanted to show and exaggerate the benefit of home ownership. But two, I also want to make sure I include those of you out there who maybe have been in the same rental place for years and years and years, and your landlord hasn't really been keeping your rents up to fair market. So you might be renting below market rent. And so I wanted you to be able to see that there's still a benefit even if you gave up that nice lower than market rents to own. So let's do our side-by-side comparison. So here you'll find out we're the buy-in side, and here's the renting side. So renting $1,800, you pay, we're going to say you have some renter's insurance, but other than that, that's all you've got. So you're $1,830 per month on day one. Now, the person who's going to buy the house next door, exact same house, they're going to get their loan. We got a principal and interest payment of $1,564, but you're, as the owner, get to pay those taxes and those insurance. So you have an additional cost of $642, a little higher property insurance cost there as well. And then there's this maintenance and repair. So you can see I'm really taking everything into account here. So if you own the home, something breaks, you get the privilege of paying to fix it. The renter doesn't. So we want to take that into account. And of course, this is something I can do for my clients as well. If they're looking at older properties with a little bit more deferred maintenance, we can increase this for them in their comparisons. Or if you're looking at brand new construction, you might think that this is a little high, we can reduce it. So I help do this for my clients just to help give them the full understanding of what they're really getting into, because I think it's important to know why owning beats renting. So you can see in this scenario here, it's almost a $500 a month more on day one to own this home than to rent. Now to the right here, what we're going to see is over time though, you'll see this purple bar going up. That's the rent, because over time you get that 4.4% rental increase. However, your principal and interest on your loan stays constant. It's a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And there can be some small changes in property taxes or homeowners insurance if you have some claims and stuff. So there can be some changes, but it's very small percentage of the overall payment. So as you can see here, by the time you get to year 7, renting now is actually costing you just as much as owning. By year 9, there's starting to be a big difference here. So the longer you own a home compared to the renting, the more comfortable that payment becomes, to where all of a sudden 10 years later you think, wow, it's really cheap to own compared to rent. So what's this big red number glaring at us? $21,000. So what this is at year 9, when we compare the renter and the owner had to put up out of pocket $21,000 more cash out of pocket over the 9 years compared to the renter. So this is where I think most people get confused, and they stop and they think, when they're doing the home calculations, they go, I should just go ahead and rent, save that $21,000 and put it into a bank account or a retirement account, and that would be the better way to go. But here's a big difference, and this is really important to understand, is when you rent, all that money is gone. But when you have a mortgage payment, every time you make a payment, there's a percentage of that that's reducing your loan balance. So when you go to sell your mortgage or sell your home, let's just say the value didn't change at all, you still have a less of a loan amount to pay off than you started with. So you're getting some of that money that you've been paying over the last 9 years back. So let's take a look at how this looks. If we scroll down here, what we're going to see here is that this amortization gain, that's the amount of money over 9 years that has reduced the loan balance. So you don't have to pay off as much as you borrowed on day one. You get that money back when you sell. But during that same time, using a forecast of 5.45% home appreciation, which again for this area is very accurate, and recent history, of course, has been substantially higher, but we don't want to get too crazy there. So this is a very good and reasonable expectation, not a guarantee, but still an estimate. So $214,000 increase in the value of the home. So you're going to sell it for $214,000 more than you bought it. Plus, you're going to get $65,000 of the mortgage payment you've essentially put into it over 9 years back. But now when you go to sell, you do have cost. So we want to take that into account. So we took into account the cost you paid to get the loan to begin with. And now we're going to take into account the cost you're going to pay to sell the house. And then we're going to settle our books and we're going to compare the owner to the renter. So as we go down here, here's a grand total. So if you look at this, the person who owned the home, even though they had $21,000 out of pocket more expense over 9 years, at year 9, they have a net worth of $212,333 more than the renter. This is staggering. This is why really for most people, home ownership, it's the game changer. This allows people that have owned homes to be able to, in the future, perhaps sell the home, pay off a lot of debt, and still have substantial funds to put down for the next purchase. So, and you don't have to be in the loan 9 years to get this benefit. As you can see here, taking the same numbers that we're looking at and forecasting going forward, at year 2, you still beat the renter compared to the other option. And over time, this really starts to grow because you're compounding that appreciation. It's the power of compounding. And the longer you own that home, the more that you have. So when it's all said and done, you can see that home ownership definitely by far, on average, beats it. Now, again, I want to just point out this is not a guarantee for returns. There certainly are times in the market where you might see values of home markets decline. However, when you look historically over a 10-year period, this is kind of what homeownership means. And this is why you hear in the news and you hear from financial advisors that homeownership can be the single greatest return on investment for most people. Think about the scenario here, $230-some thousand, and the person put in that $21,000 over 9 years plus the 5% down. They turn that into that type of return. It's going to be really, really hard to find an investment in the stock market that offers the same type of stability and safety and benefits of home ownership with that type of return. So I hope you found this information helpful. Again, if you did, like it, share it. It helps other people understand the benefits of home ownership. And until next time, have a great day.